evening. I'd like to call the November 10th, 2021 work session to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Colleen, will you please call roll?
Present.
Mr. Bloom?
Here.
Mr. King?
Here.
Mr. Moab?
Here.
Mr. O'Neill?
Here.
Mr. Ross?
Here.
Dr. Eunice?
Here.
Mr. Zaritsky? Ms. Belcastro?
Here. Mr. Hallisey?
Thank you, Ms. Belcastro. First, I'd like to announce that the board met in executive session this evening from approximately 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. To discuss matters pertaining to personnel, specifically related to personnel litigation and terms and conditions of employment. I'd also like to go over the district's rules for meeting conduct this evening. The district is asking that the following be adhered to. Face coverings must be worn in order to enter the meeting. Face coverings must remain on during the meeting. Removal of face coverings during the meeting and refusal to comply after requested will result in removal. Each comment made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes without exception. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic, and all statements shall be directed to the president of the board. No participant may address or question the board members individually. Failure to follow the requirements may result in termination of the time for the participant to speak if too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, or obscene. The board may request any individual to leave the meeting when that person does not observe decorum. The board reserves the right to request the assistance of law enforcement to remove a disorderly person when their conduct interferes with the orderly progress of the meeting. And the board finally reserves the right to call a recess or adjourn to another time if the lack of public decorum interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. My third thing is an update on the masking litigation in Commonwealth Court today. This morning, the Commonwealth Court issued an order sustaining the petition of the plaintiffs in the matter and finding that the Secretary of Health's order was void. The Commonwealth.
What did you say? I couldn't hear you.
Sorry, I forgot we have the fans on. The Commonwealth Court issued an order finding that the Secretary's mask order was void. The Commonwealth appealed that order probably a couple hours later. That appeal serves as an automatic stay of the Commonwealth Court decision. So the case will now proceed to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, where we will eventually get a decision there. But until that time, the masking order remains in place until we hear otherwise.
Okay. What is his name?
Charlie Rupert.
You ready? Where is he?
Mr. Rupert, you ready?
Ready?
I am.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm Charlie with Cipher and Cipher. I've handed out 2 pieces of information this evening. One is our presentation, and secondly is our management letter. You did not receive an audit report this evening. The single audit aspect of the relating to federal programs is not finished, but I think it was important to give you an update of the financial results of the district, so that's why we're here this evening. We're going to use the presentation. Pages are numbered in the bottom right-hand corner, and we're going to start with page 2. The financial audit that we completed for you was for June 30th, 2021. One thing we like to emphasize is the financial statements are the responsibility of your administration. Our responsibility is to tell where you were at a point in time and how you got there. We conducted our audit in accordance with U.S. auditing standards, and the opinion that you were received is unmodified. And as a board, that's what you would expect to hear from your auditor. You move to page 3, as I said, relating to the single audits. What this is governments that received more than $750,000 were required to look at compliance of rules and regulations relating to the compliance of those grants. because of all the new COVID grants that was administered during the year, it's created a little complexity in that area. So it's in progress at this point. When we move to page 4, general fund, we brought in $39,019,000. We spent $38.6 million, concluding an increase in fund balance of $393,000 in your general fund. At the end of the year, your fund balance was $2.9 million, of which, and there is a commitment of $891,000, which is a result of a bond issue that occurred a couple years ago. So your unassigned fund balance at this time is $2,043,000. Had a little construction fund was pretty inactive. There were some interest earnings. So as of June 30th, there was $31,000, close to $32,000 in your construction fund. Subsequent to this date, you guys have borrowed some money. So I think to, what, 15 million? So that's subsequent to June 30th. When you turn to page 5, this is just a graph of your major sources of income. Our tax revenue totaled $21,410,000. Our other revenues, miscellaneous types of income totaled $621,000. Our state sources totaled $15,947,000, and our federal sources of income was $1,039,000. When you turn to page 6, this is the sum of all of your revenues come together. You can see the actual revenues was $39,019,000, and we budgeted $38,476,000. The major difference, the primary area of variance is in the federal programs grants that you received. When you turn to page 7, we're not going to spend a lot of time here for 7 and 8, but basically these are your major categories of where you spend your money. Regular education, special ed, vocational. But if you just look at the graphs, you can tell the actual expense is very similar or very tight to what was budgeted. This is a very good fiscal picture that you'd like to see. Moving to page 8, similar, where you can see where your actual costs were very similar to your budgeted forecasted amounts. When you move to page 9, this is again taking a snapshot of your total expenditures and comparing them to your annual budget. So your actual expenditures were $38,525,000, and your budgeted expenditures were $38,522,000. So again, very good budgeting here. And you would expect your actual expenditures to be a little greater than budgeted, just simply because of the matching concept of the federal revenue, because you can't recognize the income until you incur the expense. So because our federal income was a little higher, you would anticipate your expenditures to be as well as high. When you turn to page 9, or excuse me, page 10, here is a history of where your fund balance has been for the past 5 years. And you can see we've made some nice strides over the past 4 of where our fund balance was at a really low balance of $200,000. And right now it has a fund balance of 2.9. This has been a nice recovery. Some hard work has been done. Some tough decisions have been made to get to this point. It doesn't mean it's easy street. You'll have some work in front of you moving forward. Page 11, statement of activities, fancy name for profit and loss. This is the major categories of where you spend your money. If you look at the middle column there, governmental activities total $38.4 million. You move over to the far right-hand column, you see a number there of 29.6. That's your net cost of business less direct revenues that can be allocated to those costs. Examples of that would be your federal programs, debt service reimbursement, subsidies that can be directly correlated to an expense that you incurred. You come down one line, you have your unrestricted grant that comes from the state. It's called your ESB. That totals $8.8 million. The $20,863,000 number is the most important number on the page. Basically what that is that's your cost of business, your cost of producing education that needs to be funded at the local level. That in itself, it doesn't mean a lot, but when you compare the percentage at the bottom, it says, so for every dollar you spend, 54 cents of it comes from the local sources, and the remaining balance then comes in the source of grants, subsidies from the state. You can see here this was a decline this year of roughly 2%, or 1.75%. I believe that directly correlates to the federal grants that you got to subsidize for some of the expenses that was incurred. Next year, there's still, there's been 3 ESSER grants, ESSERS 1, ESSERS 2, ESSERS 3. ESSERS 3 is still on the horizon to come in for 22-23, or excuse me, 21-22. So I would anticipate something similar for the following year because of that large grant coming in for the district. It's my understanding the restrictions relating to what you can spend the money on has increased. So it'll be a challenge to move forward with that grant. But that said, there's been some good work and some decisions that have been made to get to the fiscal position where you're at. We talked about your fund balance. The unassigned fund balance is right around $2 million. That's right around 7.5% of your operating budget. A district this size, anywhere between 5%, 10%, you're kind of in that sweet spot. So you're in a good spot right now. The cafeteria struggled this past year. We had an operating loss there of $112,000. That's greater. It's actually the last 2 years we've had a significant loss in the cafeteria. I believe a lot of that had to do with pandemic, where it's limited participation program. There's been some changes in this area to where this last year it went to a school-wide free lunch. This concept that's been initiated by the state. So it'll be interesting to see how we kind of move forward with this.
I have a question. I'm just curious.
Yes, sir.
I know what you said for this year, and pandemic, it sounds like it could be a problem. Do you have it what the comparison was the year before the pandemic?
Yes. The loss in the cafeteria prior to pandemic, in 2018, the loss was $39,000, and in 2019, it was close to a break even of $2,300. Yeah, so I think a lot of what's happening here is participation because of students not in the school. Lastly, there is a new accounting standard that's coming out for governments, and it has to do with the accounting for leases. And basically, operating leases have been a cost that's just recognized as incurred, a normal operating expense. The board has taken the approach to where we need to make this a little more complicated and recognize an asset and a liability relating to these operating leases. So that's something that's going to need to be implemented for the 21-22 year. So at this point, there isn't a lot to do other than to gather the leases and see, to get your hands around what's all involved. And then from there, there's just some handy softwares out there to calculate what the present value and different stuff of what leases represent. Lastly, you should be very pleased with what's happening in the business office here at the district. John Malley does a very nice job for you. And lastly, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to serve and be your auditor. Appreciate it. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Just one quick question on page 5.
Yes, sir.
Difference in the budgeted and actual federal revenue.
Uh-huh.
There's money mostly.
Well, there was a couple grants there. There was a COVID, I believe, STEM grant.
Right.
And then there,
It's COVID money that caused.
yeah. And there was another safety grant, crime and delinquency. That was a couple $100,000.
$250,000.
That's money we got during the year that we didn't know.
So it's stuff we discussed that was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you for putting me on it.
Thank you,
Thank
Charlie.
you.
I appreciate it, and I want to echo your comments about the business job, John, your staff do. Once again, dead on with our budget, and appreciate the opportunity to work with you every day. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Ready?
Yep.
Moving on, we move to public comments on agenda items.
Hi, I'm Chris Brett. Question, can we have a copy of that?
State your name
Oh, I'm sorry.
and address, please.
I'm Chris Brett, 101 Brookhaven.
Put it on the website.
That's my question now.
We put it on the website.
We have a copy of that.
Yeah, we put it on the website.
Oh, you put it on the website. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment on the agenda items?
Okay. Okay, minutes. To approve the voting session minutes from the October 21st, 2021 meeting. Any questions, comments? Okay. Mr. King, Treasurer's Report.
Following bills and reports are submitted for approval. Pay bills. 1, confirm the October 2021 general fund payments in the amount of $1,286,876.47. Number 2, confirm the October 2021 cafeteria fund payments in the amount of $73,577.70. B, to the report to approve the October 2021 Berkheimer report.
Any questions on that? Okay. Board policy, there's just an FYI. The second reading of the following policy additions or revisions. Policy 113.1, discipline of students with disabilities, that is a revision. Policy 113.2, behavior support, which is a revision. And policy 113.4, confidentiality of special education, student information, that is new. Mr. O'Neill, any comments from you? Negotiate.
Aside from, I've been out of the loop for a couple of weeks, but Dr. Perry, I'm assuming that we got all those contracts signed and we're all bent.
Yeah, we just did a couple revisions to them. They'll be cleaned up. I actually gave them to Pete tonight.
Okay,
A couple wording things that needed to be revised, and then they'll be signed next week.
so that's all done. Okay, good.
Okay. Any other questions about negotiations? Mr. Ross, education.
Number 1, to approve, confirm the release time, staff development requests. The conference and location is listed on the left-hand side, and the individuals that are attending the conference is in the middle, and the dates that they will be partaking in the conferences are listed on the right. 2, to approve educational services agreement with school at McGuire's Memorial to provide services to one of the district students for the 2021-22 school year at a daily rate of $310.31.
Questions? Mr. Moab, anything on?
We have nothing in technology this, thank you.
Mr. King, athletics.
Number 1, to pre-approve the high school marching jazz bands for a trip to Orlando, Florida from March 15th 2022 to March 20th, 2022.
Questions? Okay. Dr. Yunus, extracurricular activities.
Okay, our extracurricular activities, FY field trips. I will torture you because this is my last meeting. Veterans Day Parade, Beaver High School Band, 11/11/2021. Schroeder Industries, Leedsdale and Salt Lake, CNC Imperial. Bots IQ, 11/17/2021. Dutch Ridge Elementary, Beaver, TL Gifted, 11/22/2021. Westminster College High School District Honors Band, 11/16 through 11/18/2021. Newcastle High School District Band, 1/27, 1/28/22, and Slippery Rock University High School District Jazz Band, 2/18 through 2/19/2022. And I would like to have my last word of, I usually, when I was on the technology chairperson, we always had a word from Mr. Miller. So I'm going to say finale is my word of the month, and that's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Building and Grounds, Mr. Zaritsky isn't here, so number one is to approve the following building usage requests pending final approval from the superintendent regarding the review of the organization's health and safety plan, as well as a liability waiver sign-off and the chart, the building, the organization, the date, and the purpose of the building usage. And there is an FYI, the Center Grange Construction Project Update presentation by John Padilla, the architect from Crabtree, Robar and Associates, will be during the November 18th, 2021 meeting. Any questions?
No, I'd like to make a comment though. So the presentation, from, if anybody's interested in the building project, wants to know what's going on, presentation from the architects will happen next week. Also, that presentation will be placed on the website for anybody who can't make the meeting in order to see where we are with the building project.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Personnel, Mr. Bloom.
We'll be looking to approve the additions to the 2021-2022 substitute list pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. To approve an FMLA request for a paraprofessional from September 28, 2021 through December 22nd, 2021. Number 3, to approve the retirement of Anna Marie Tassin, paraprofessional, effective November 19th, 2021. Number 4, to approve Alan Chrisman as a cafeteria general worker, 3 1/4 hours at a rate of $12.50 an hour, in accordance with the CVSD agreement, pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. No effective date. Dr. Perry?
On the Crispin, acceptance of all clearances, is that the one we're talking about?
Yes.
So I'll give you an effective date once we get clearances. I would say the effective date will be November, what's our next meeting? November 16th, November 16th meeting. We're still waiting on clearances. 18th, I'm sorry.
Anything else, Dr. Perry?
I anticipate we're going to add a few items to the personnel list. I know we got an FMLA request that came in today. I know we have a name for a building monitor at one of the elementary schools. I also have a name for a paraprofessional. Also, we advertised for additional paraprofessional positions, custodial positions, and cafeteria positions that are due in my office by next Wednesday. We'll see if we get any names or where any of that plays out.
Any response from that ad with the part-time Spanish teacher in the post?
So that same ad, all that's due on Wednesday in my office. As of right now, we've received nothing. We've tried with through sub-services, they're not there. I mean, we beat the bushes. We've called colleges, we've called different schools. There's nobody with the certification.
Other questions? I know, Mr. Ambrose, you have anything here?
I don't have anything, but I would like to just thank Mr. O'Neill for all the hard work he put in the negotiations of those contracts. The hitchhike on what Mr. Rupert had said, year in and year out, when we look at these budgets, we look at expenditures, and John Malley's right there. What was budgeted, what was spent. John, thank you once again for a good job. That's it.
Okay, public comments. Again, please state your name and your address.
Hi, my name is James Peters. I reside at 2596 Front Street. Before I get into the bulk of what I say, I'd really like us to get rid of giving our address out ahead of time. The board does not have to do that, and there's no reason I couldn't present my driver's license to the IT person off to the side to verify residence so that I can speak at this forum. So something for the board to consider. Also, I just wanted to say that everybody sitting at this table should be ashamed of yourselves for how you've conducted yourselves and for how these board meetings have devolved. There is no longer a dialogue that occurs between any of us. I've emailed each and every person sitting at this board at least 3 or 4 times. I have exactly 0 responses, not even an okay, I got it, nothing. When I sent out questions, no questions were answered. When I sent out comments, no okay, I got it. And it's just been, we as the public and as the parents of our children have exactly 0 way to communicate with you guys, and it's terrible. We're getting taxed, but we have no representation. I would also like to implore the board to continue to consider seeking additional counsel. I know that you guys have said in the past, you have. Many people in the area would like you to seek additional counsel, most notably the solicitor for Butler School District. So if you could please do that for us, or at least look into it, that would be fantastic. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, Brandy Patterson, Pine Haven Court. One question I have as far as, James, correct? On the website where it does kind of list the roles, it says 3 minutes per person, but it also says not more than 1 time per topic. So I just wanted to be clear. If I have several topics I wanted to bring up, do I get 3 minutes per topic?
You want to answer that?
I believe that the board has decided that it's going to be a 3-minute period for comment. So you have 3 minutes to make your comments.
Okay, it does say you cannot speak more than once on any given topic though, so maybe you can make that a little bit more clear. As we're preparing, for these meetings and coming and trying to get everything we want to talk about in this small amount of time. Just to reiterate that, I think James also probably wanted to mention that the whole reason why maybe not addressing our physical addresses is because everything is on YouTube now. And I know that this was part of the Sunshine Act State Section 710.1A, so that you can verify that we are community members and taxpayers. While I respect that, maybe if we could figure out a different way, since we do now put it on universal web. One other thing, let's see if I can get to it in time here. As far as curriculum updates, I know where I can find the curriculum content, Madam President, on the website, but is there a place where we can find out if curriculum is updated? Is there a notification? Is there a new content available, or anything where the public can be aware, as opposed to looking over and over again consistently? I would like to see if there's a possibility for us to get a notification or just something next to it if curriculum has been updated, so we can keep up to date as well. And then also, I just want to reiterate, so again, we do have counsel here that is kind of sticking to these mandates and maybe not branching out and being as creative as other firms are, and that's your choice. But I just want to reiterate a couple things here. And this is because I'm a little fearful of a vaccine mandate that could come if we're so strong on following and not getting creative in our mask mandate ideas and options. From March of 2020 to now, only 4,300 children out of 75 million have been hospitalized due to COVID. In the flu season of 2018 to 19, it was 39,000 children were hospitalized. So 39,000 children were hospitalized from the flu. Only 40, and that's a flu season, 4,300 children have been hospitalized due to COVID in almost a year and a half. I just want you to keep that in mind. That's all from the CDC. Also, in regards to the VAERS website, which again is co-managed by the CDC and FDA, I just want to let you know that there have been, as of today, 25,000, a little over, 25,000 registered and recorded adverse vaccination effects for children from ages 0 to 17. So please keep that in mind. As the government's pushing on us, I think we all can understand, and I think and I hope that we all know that this isn't just about masking and about public health, because if it was, there would be more consistency around the nation in venues, avenues, indoors, outdoors, right? So this is a little bit of a control issue. I hope we can all appreciate that and really recognize that. So please keep in mind the numbers of children who are affected by COVID when and if and when and most likely a vaccine mandate probably is coming. So please, board, please be aware of that. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to move to the admin. Mr. McCrary.
Just real quick at the high school, we have wrapped up our first 9 weeks. Report cards go live on Friday. We are in preparation of the exams, first 2 weeks of December. Most of our time right now is spent on remediation, keystone preparation, and moving into what is already the second 9 weeks. Other than that, pretty much status quo of the high school. Thank you.
Mr. Kovacan, you have anything to add to Mr. McCrary? No? Okay. Mr. Dolph?
Middle school the same, status quo, report cards Friday. Going well. Our advisory groups have done 2 surveys this month for breast cancer awareness and for Veterans Day tomorrow. And then on a side note, Dr. Perry wanted me to mention, we did start our Pennsylvania State Police risk and vulnerability assessment. Center grades today. We have the middle school scheduled for Friday, and then we have Todd Lane and the high school scheduled over the next couple of weeks. So we have begun that process, so we'll have a report here in the next month or 2 to present to the board from those findings.
So that's the state police come in, they evaluate our buildings, they walk through the buildings inside, outside, talk to us about things that go on in the school, all of our processes and policies, things that are in place. And then they'll provide us feedback on things that they think the district should consider from a safety standpoint moving forward. Unfortunately, those things are not public because they don't want the public to know, or potentially there are things that we need to work on. But I assure you that things that they bring to our attention, we will address.
Ms. Hicks?
And I want to thank Mr. Dahl for doing that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
That's
interrupt
okay.
you. He organizes all that for the district and does a great job with it.
Ms. Hicks, do you have anything to add?
The only thing I have to add is that we have sent our gifted students to 2 competitions this past month. They participated in the Powering Pittsburgh STEM competition, trying to find creative and innovative ways to power Pittsburgh with renewable resources. We had a team that scored 4th in the county and another team that scored 2nd place in the county, and they will actually be going to Heinz Field on November 17th to present at the local competition, the regional one, excuse me. And then we had students that went to the forensics public speaking competition at Riverside. We had a student who placed 1st place in impromptu speeches. We got 1st and 2nd place in storytelling speeches and 1st place in extemporaneous speeches.
Okay, very good. Congratulations to them. Ms. Farragotti.
So at Todd Lane, we actually had report cards go out today. Mrs. Kasanovich and I both had them go out today, so we should have those. We did have our Halloween party. Thank you to the PTA for organizing it. It went very well, and all the kids were excited, and the teachers were very excited about it, so thank you for that. And we're moving along with the next 9 weeks. That's all I have.
Mrs. Kasanovich.
Farragotti. But our book fair does start this Monday, November 15th. And we are having Turner Dairy come for our kindergartners. They come and they do a presentation and they have milkshakes for them and everything in LGI. And that's on November the 19th. So.
Teach them how to open those milk cartons. We have 1,000 people that work down there open those milk cartons.
We're trying.
I can't lie, I can't open one yet either.
I was going to say.
I'm 52 years old.
That's all.
Mr. I. Miller.
Yes, curriculum work continues to be done with the encore classes, 6 to 12. And we're still in the process of doing textbook reviews for elementary reading and ELA, K to 5.
Okay. Dr. Perry?
First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Eunice for your service to the Central Valley School District, specifically the children of Central Valley. I appreciate your support personally as a board member towards me as a superintendent as well, and not only to get to know you as a board member, but to call you a friend, and I appreciate what you've done for the district, and you'll be missed. So I want to thank you for what you've done here with the district. On a sad note, mine and I believe our sympathies as a district go out to the families of Bradley Walker. She was 14 years old of Hermitage. She attended Lincoln Park Performing Arts Charter School. And Lindsay Tompkins, 31 of Aliquippa, who was a bus driver for Rhodes Transit and was a driver here at Central Valley at times. They were tragically killed in a bus accident on Tuesday, November 2nd. And I'd just like to send our sympathies out to the families. I'll send our sympathies out to Mr. Rhodes, Bob Rhodes, Rhodes Transit, and their entire family, because I know that they're hurting down there as well. So on behalf of the district, our thoughts, prayers go out to the family and to the bus company. That's all I have.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we're going to go to board member comments. Mr. Ross, I will start with you.
I'd just like to emphasize with with Cipher and what Mr. Ambrose and Dr. Perry said about our business office. And obviously the head guy there is, Mr. Maley, and I'm sure the people that work in that business office sure gives him a lot of help in getting us on the right track. And we do appreciate it. And I'm sure the taxpayers of this district appreciate the job you guys are doing there. So and congratulations, and continue the good work.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I'd just like to say one thing about my staff. Roberta, Pam, and Amy, they do a hell of a job. They've meshed well together over the last couple of years. I think we have a good team in place, and moving forward to a better year next year. But those three girls do a hell of a job.
Thank you. Mr. Bloom?
I'd like to echo Mr. Ross's comments, and I'd like to thank Mr. Eimiller. I wasn't able to use it because I was driving here tonight. He had me set up for a phone call in, and I said, I can't do that while I'm on the road. I won't do that, but thank you anyway. Just came from work, so thank you.
Okay. Dr. Eunice?
Yes, I'd like to thank the administration. You've had my children in class, some of you, some not. Some have had some experience in the older ages. They're doing well. I link that to the high school and the junior high because they're all, have masters and going for doctorates and different things, and I appreciate it. You guys have always cared about the students. I know that, and that's one of the reasons why I approached and wanted to be on the board. I've made some good friends. I feel that way, and if you ever need anything, I'm still here for you. It's not like I'm, not on the board anymore, but I'm still here. If there's anything I can help anybody with, I'm more than happy if I can help you. The board, I'd like to say thank you. It's been 8 years. It's been very good. The timing is good for me to get off with everything I have going on with different businesses and different personal things. Family, it's important to me. Wish you well. I hope your projects and everything go well. I just want to say this, that I am, regardless of what anyone says, I am for all-day kindergarten, but not right now. But other than that, our differences have always ironed out, and we've always had good rapport, and we've always looked out. I feel that everyone on the board watches out for the students and the faculty and the staff. And I thoroughly believe in that's what everyone has done over the years. So, and thank you for the public for voting for me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. O'Neill?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Mr. King?
I don't have anything.
Mr. Moab?
Just real quickly, I want to recognize the people
that put themselves out there to run for school board. It's difficult sometimes to get up and speak in public. It's even more difficult to put your name out there, to be voted for and to serve the public. But I have admiration for anyone who puts themselves out there to at least attempt to serve the public. So it's an admirable thing that you did. And we do like having people here to offer comments and suggestions to us, so that is appreciated. That's all I really have to say.
Ambrose?
Nothing at this time.
I just want to make, I forgot to mention Colleen. Colleen is part of that team that she does a hell of a job.
She's all right.
She does a better job for me than for.
She's tough on.
Mr. Melly, thank you for the budget, all your hard work. I do appreciate your hard work too. Dr. Yunus, it has been a pleasure knowing you. Even I've taught your children, so I mean, you will be missed. With that being said, may I have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Bloom, and second by Mr. Ambrose. All in favor? Opposed?
You wanted me to get.
Meeting